buddy. The Detroit Tigers forced a Game 5, beating the Mariners 9-3 earlier Wednesday afternoon. The Cubs are trying to extend their National League Division Series run. And the Blue Jays and Dodgers look to close out New York and Philadelphia in the MLB playoffs. Welcome to the 210th episode of ATL Prime Sports. I'm JJ Jurjevich. Joining me this evening is my fabulous co-host, Larry Gardner, and, of course, my wonderful producer, Wayne Ridenauer in wonderful Memphis, Tennessee. You can catch us all at ATL Prime Sports on Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, and, of course, Apple and Spotify. If you like the content, give us a thumbs up, give us a subscribe, and follow us on this journey together. You can catch us all again at ATL Prime Sports, personal X at JJ Get You One for myself, at RWY Jr. for Wayne, at LG for Real Though for Larry Garner, and at Corder Todd for TC Todd Corder, who is out supervising some umpires tonight. Wayne, how you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm doing really well because last weekend Memphis secured the first, I guess what you call guaranteed bowl slot by winning their 6th game. So we've got an off week this week. Next week we'll go down to Birmingham to face the Blazers in that wonderful new stadium they got.
Yeah, it is a beautiful stadium in downtown Birmingham, and it stands out and makes the skyline look complete down there in Birmingham if you haven't been by it yet. It's right off I-20, and it's by the school's basketball arena, and I've driven by it several times, and I tell you what, one of the infamous memories of my childhood, guys, is a strip club billboard that was called Sammy's right by that intersection. It is no longer there, but boy, it is etched in my mind. The A in Sammy's were a pair of legs, and we can let the imagination go from there. Larry, how you doing this evening?
After that, man, I'm good. It's funny to think about some of the things that stick out in your mind from your past, but all is well, man. I'm excited that the Hurricanes were able to take care of business last week up in Tallahassee to put some Seminole pride to the side and just go through there, in the words of the great playmaker Michael Irvin, whoop some. So it's a great day to be a number 2 Miami Hurricane fan, but doing great, JJ. Thank you for asking. How about yourself?
Man, I'm doing wonderful. SIAC season is well underway, and Benedict's looking like the cream of the crop at the top. But the SIAC season is just getting underway as we got some pivotal games coming up this weekend. And my final game is Savannah State at Albany State, November 1st. And that might be for some conference championship game on the line type deal for the Albany Rams there, the Golden Rams. But what we got on tap tonight, Will McFadden, senior editor and staff writer of the Atlanta Falcons, will join us, and we'll get into our pick six. Short and sweet, but we welcome senior editor and staff writer for the Atlanta Falcons, Will McFadden. Will, thanks for coming on. How are you, man?
I'm doing well, John. It's great to be back with you, Wayne and Larry, and chatting with all of your great listeners. We've got a heck of a matchup on tap this week.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, and we'll start right there. A big-time Monday night matchup indeed. I'll start off on the defensive side of the ball. You know, pinch me if you ever heard this before. Well, you're going to have to pinch me because I've never heard it before, Will. The Falcons, in terms of per game, are number 1 in the NFL, allowing only 244 yards per game. His defense is really good. How good do you see him getting by the end of the year with Jeff Ulbrich as the new DP? And they're getting after it. They're winning pass rushes. The pass rush rate's gaining each week. You like to see that as a fan. You just want to see that sack number grow a little bit, and I think they have a chance of winning this game Monday night. Your thoughts on this defense?
Yeah, I think, to start with, the difference that Jeff Ulbrich has made as defensive coordinator has been apparent right from the jump. I think that was kind of the biggest takeaway for a lot of people in the first preseason game against Detroit. It was just kind of, it didn't really matter who was out there. It just felt different, right? Just the emphasis on simplifying things to some degree to allow the natural athleticism and kind of like dynamic instincts and playmaking ability for your defenders to stand out a little bit more, and get them out of their head, kind of. I think for that reason, we will continue to see Atlanta's defense get better, because now that the style and kind of the teaching has been put into place, a big part of this defense is on the players. It's on them figuring out with one another how to kind of add these little wrinkles and these little flavor pockets that kind of like only Xavier Watts and Jesse Bates working together can provide you, right? Only Divine Diablo knowing what Leonard Floyd likes to do by week 13 allows him to say, oh, I'm going to play off of you this way. And just like a basketball team, you get two guys running a pick and roll all throughout the year. Late in the season, they're going to be better than they were at the beginning. And that's kind of what this defense ultimately is meant to be. So the fact that they've gotten off to the start that they have, I think is a great sign for where this defense can go when you give them a little bit more time together. And I think coming off of the bye week, I'm looking a little bit more offensively. We may see some tweaks or differences. I kind of think this is the defense that you're going to see all year long. And now the changes are going to kind of be inherent upon the players and really how they can evolve as the season goes along. But we are seeing, as you mentioned, the pressure rates increase. I believe they're 8th in the NFL right now through 5 weeks in pressure rate, which is crazy because we always are talking about the Falcons as kind of dead last or bottom 5 in the NFL when it comes to pressure rate. A big thing, though, that I have noticed that I'm really curious to see if it remains this way throughout the year or if this gets dialed back to some degree. Falcons are number 1 in blitz rate in the league by like a decent margin. And specifically, a lot of that is coming on third down. I don't typically think of Jeff Ulbrich as like a Steve Spagnuolo or a Brian Flores as somebody who just wants to bring pressure all of the time. They're still able to get pressure with 4. We know that's going to be important. So that's going to be something in this game that I think will really, be kind of curious to watch the matchup for Atlanta wanting to send pressure and the Bills being really good at kind of giving Josh Allen time.
Will, you talked about so many different aspects of the defense, and a lot of that is based on some of the contributions that the rookies are making, like from this class, immediate contributions. Talk about what you've seen from the likes of Mr. Pierce and Mr. Xavier, who won NFC Defensive Rookie of the Month award. Those kinds of things. We're, as Falcons fans who are traumatized from years of not having a decent defense on the field, talk about those things that you've seen so far from the rookie classes contributing so much so far this season.
Yeah, I think for so many different reasons, people like to bring up 2016 when talking about this year. Second season with a head coach, right? The connective tissue, all of that stuff. I never bought into all of that, but I do think the clearest way that they are similar is with the number of rookies making an impact, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, right? That year it was Keanu Neal, Deion Jones, Brian Poole. This year it's, Billy Bowman, Xavier Watts, and of course, James Pierce Jr. and Jalen Walker. So I think that the start really in the secondary has maybe been a little bit stronger than the guys up front, which is probably to be expected because when you talk about Xavier Watts, we'll, kind of look at all of the production he had at such a big name program like Notre Dame with great coaching staff, a lot of well-respected defensive minds on that staff. And he was just a stud all throughout. So to see him step in immediately, I think that's why the Falcons identified him, even though when you were kind of looking at it, yeah, they could have used a safety, but there were maybe other needs higher up on some people's lists. This is a benefit of not always taking a needs-based approach in the draft. It allows you to get somebody like Xavier Watson and turn right around and go get a Billy Bowman, who was a safety coming out of college. And they kind of had the vision to say, we think his skill set really translates, especially his attitude and his demeanor, to a nickel position where you're closer to the line of scrimmage and you have to kind of be a little bit of like a Tasmanian devil, which is kind of what he is. So I think it's a great job by the coaching staff on the back end, identifying skill sets and demeanor they wanted to add. And then when you talk about Jalen Walker, it's the attitude, it's the charisma, it's the leadership qualities, and it's just the versatility. Like if there's a guy that I really want to see matched up with Josh Allen in a spying role, in kind of just what can you do as an athlete to out-athlete somebody on the other side who is as good as anybody in the world? Jalen Walker is going to be a fascinating guy, I think, in that role, just because of everything we saw him do at Georgia. And then when it's James Pierce, it is just pure like the flash off of the line of scrimmage. He is so fast off the ball and stresses defenses in so many different ways. And he's kind of got so many tools to the bag that I wasn't expecting to see early on in his career. So I know the like sacks haven't necessarily been there since the Vikings game for either of those two young guys, but they're still making an impact. They're still making plays, and it's still very, very early. I think coming off of this bye week, having now gotten their feet wet a little bit, then taking a second to take a breath, refresh, recollect, I would expect them to, get off to a maybe hot start after the bye week, whether that be this week, next week. I would expect to see more pressure from those guys.
All right.
Wayne, go
All
ahead,
right, Larry.
man. I know you had one.
Yeah. The only question I have, and this is not really a question, it's just something. I don't remember Atlanta playing the Bills an awful lot. And what is your take on this? Because I don't even know which team has the edge on wins losses, but the Bills coming up. Normally I would pull for the Bills, but this is not this week.
Well, yeah, I do think there's going to be a healthy amount of Bills fans in the building, right? That is clear everywhere they go. And I distinctly remember, I think it was the 2017 season, which of course, right, Falcons are coming off the Super Bowl, and there was a kind of back-to-back game where it was Miami and Buffalo, middle of the year, 1:00 games. It was like a little bit of a dip, and that Bills game was eye-opening to me because I was a little bit of the same way. I was unfamiliar with their game, if you will. And I think the Falcons lost. It was a shock. And I was like, dang, man, the atmosphere in that building kind of did open my eyes to that. This is a way better team. They have Josh Allen. That one, I think, had Tyrod Taylor. Like, this is every bit worth the hype. So that building is going to be rocking. We know Atlanta can be rocking on a primetime game anyway. So for kind of that reason, this is going to be huge. I think that both the most recent times these two teams have played, even in Buffalo, they've been kind of close. They've been tight games. And I think
I think Atlanta's last win may have been an overtime win, if I remember right.
Do you know what year that was off the top of your head, Wayne?
No, it had to have been sometime in the 2000 teens.
Gotcha. I'm remembering one from like 2019, 2020, maybe it was 2019 that was up there. But if Atlanta can go into Minnesota and knock off that Vikings team in that atmosphere, and I know it's JJ McCarthy, and that's going to be the big X factor, right? This is not a first-time quarterback. This is the guy. This is the main man, right? But if Atlanta can go do that, and if Atlanta can kind of play the way that it did against Baker Mayfield, kind of that first quarter, remember when they were just hemming them back in kind of their shadow of the end zone and never let them get breathing room? If that Atlanta team shows up, why can't they beat Buffalo at home in a primetime game? This team is as good as the Bills if they play that way. And yeah, the Bills coming off a loss, maybe they're a little bit more motivated, but I think we're going to see a really, really good performance from this Falcons team on Monday night. And I would expect the Bills to kind of come out with their best too. And for that reason, it should be a hell of a game, guys.
All right.
I think it will be as well. Falcons defense will stay there. You know, something that alarmed me, they're getting off the field on third down for, say, holding opponents to just 34%. That's like 15 of 44 on third downs. But you flip it over to fourth down, the Falcons are allowing over 85% conversion rates on fourth down. Coach, have you seen anything from Coach Morris in practice trying to flip that script?
Fourth down specifically?
Yeah, fourth down specifically. I mean, they've been great on third down. Just on fourth down, it's I think 6 of 7 they've given up on the year. So that's got to be alarming for a coach. Have you heard anything, Coach Morris, say anything on that, or is that just kind of luck of the draw?
No, I mean, I tend to think when you're dealing with 7 plays out of, like 800 that they've played so far this year, there are other priorities that they probably have. The third, like they even, for the most part, a lot of the coaches that I've talked to will kind of look at the later downs, third down and fourth down, as byproducts of your early down. So like the coaches are always a little bit more fixated on kind of first down, in my experience, than, of course, you want to be good on third down. If you're not good on third down, that's going to be a bigger issue. I kind of think fourth down is a little bit of let's not let them get into 4th and 1s, because that's usually when most teams are going to be going for them, or late in a game if you're trailing, right? And so not knowing every single one of those 7 plays off the top of my head, I can't say whether or not they were kind of like purely just defensive things, or were they in situations where you're playing prevent, maybe you're willing to give up a 4th and 3 with 48 seconds left to kind of like do whatever. But no, I have not heard, Raheem Morris be asked about that or stress really like the 4th down part of the defense. I would venture to guess that there's, some other area, like they're 25th in the red zone, right? I would get that cleaned up a little bit more first. So other areas like that. But if there is a game where a big critical 4th down, happens for the other offense and they're able to convert it and score, I would venture to guess you would hear about that probably after the post game or in the post game press conference. Right now, though, that hasn't been a topic.
Yeah, I kind of figured. I think off the top of my head, I think you're right. I think they were kind of garbage time 4th down conversions, and I don't think it's anything to worry about. But I just found it alarming. I was like, wow, I didn't realize it was that high. So Larry,
maybe
go
this
ahead,
will make you
maybe
this will make you feel a little bit better, John. Is they are number 1 in first downs allowed per game. So even with those 6 conversions, I think they've still got a little bit of room to spare.
I agree. Larry, go ahead if you got one more, man, and then I'll close it out. I know Will's only got a couple minutes.
Yeah, mine is based around the offensive side of the football. And we saw the difference in Zach Robinson being up in the box as opposed to being on the field last week against the Redskins, and how that seemed to be able to help Michael Penix as far as being able to get the play in, being able to get the call made, being able to get the offense in a better position to be able to not only execute said play, but to be able to produce points off said plays. One of the Achilles heels that I've seen so far early this season is field goals compared to touchdowns. Is what we saw Sunday with Zach being able to get the call in to Penix earlier, to him to get to be able to process and everything that it takes from the time the play gets in to the time he goes and makes the call, to the time he gets to the line and be able to survey exactly what's going on, to the time the ball is snapped. What do you see offensively that can help Michael become the player that we think he has the tools to become?
Yeah, that's a great question. And immediately as you were kind of saying that, I was flashing back to the Carolina game and that early drive, right, where they are moving the ball pretty well and they get across the 50 and they're kind of inching towards the end zone. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, there's 8, 7, 6 on the play clock. Are you guys going to, and it's like timeout. And it's like, okay, kind of happening again. What's going on there? And then of course, afterwards we learn maybe some technical malfunctions were part of that, but it's very clear that in these situational aspects where your execution has to be, pinpoint and locked down on the field, it also has to be pinpoint and locked down in the communication process as well. And so I'm not surprised that you kind of saw the best offensive performance once Zach Robinson moved down to the sideline. I don't really think that has as much to do with Zach Robinson as much as it does with kind of a younger offense really trying to gel together in season for the first time. They've had training camp. I think it looked good at times. I think it looked bad at times. I think it looked great at times. That's just kind of training camp. But regardless, in every single practice, Zach Robinson was right there on the sideline with his guys, with the unit, being able to talk through Michael Penix. And then once the season started, he goes upstairs. And so that was a little bit of a new element. Even though he'd been doing it last year, a veteran quarterback like Kirk is a little bit of a different thing. So I think just kind of for all the little aspects and details and things like that you just kind of can't communicate in time because it's just a one channel of communication, 15 seconds, cuts off. There's just so much that can be lost, right? It's like trying to tell somebody a whole message in a tweet. And it's like, I can't kind of do everything I need to in 250 characters. I need a little bit more space. And I think just being on the sideline allows for that face-to-face communication. You get somebody's nuances. They're able to kind of express things back to you in different ways. Like you just get way more information down there. So for a younger kind of unit overall, and for a first-time quarterback with this coordinator during an entirety of the season, I think it was a great decision to ultimately come down. And I think during the bye week, I like that it happened right before the bye week because I think it gave them a lot more information, a different perspective to then take back into this week and kind of reconsider some things. So I like the move that made. I hope that it's going to ultimately trickle down to a better performance inside the red zone. We saw that against the Commanders, but it wasn't as easy, I think, as it always could be. So it's a work in progress, but I think they made a great first start in that Washington game.
I agree 100%. Great question, Larry, and great answer, Will. I think that was on the mind of all Falcons fans, and it did look smoother last week, or 2 weeks ago now, I should say. It looked a lot better, and I think the receivers responded to the firing of their wide receivers coach. I think they responded well, and I'm stumping on the name who took over that position coach job.
TJ Yates took over, who was passing game coordinator. Yep.
Yeah, passing game coordinator, Georgia Tech guy, and local Atlanta guy, and I think the receivers and the quarterback, for that matter, responded well to it as well. And I know we got a big one here Monday night. Can you give us a prediction? And I think the home team's got a real good shot here.
I think I have a worse conversion rate on predictions than maybe the Falcons' fourth down defense so far this year. So the only prediction I think I'm going to make is that it'll be a good game. I do think it'll go into the fourth quarter, and I'm hopeful that Atlanta emerges with a win. If they don't, it's not going to be the end of the world. Unless it's a Carolina outcome, let's try not to overreact maybe to this one so much, because it is the Buffalo Bills. They're a really good team. This is a measuring stick game, I think, more than anything. So I'm going to predict a close one that hopefully Atlanta comes out on.
I agree with you. That might have prefaced our pick six, but Will, thanks for coming on. Tell our listeners how they can catch you on the Atlanta Falcons website and read your article. I kind of did half your work for you.
AtlantaFalcons.com. Yep, go check that out. We've got coverage for every matchup, all the press conferences, everything you want to know about the Falcons. We did, if you want to learn more about the defense, had a series go up last week for the bye week. That's kind of a 3-part look at Jeff Ulbricht's defensive philosophy. It's called Heart, Mind, Fist. So go check that out. On Friday mornings, we have our Friday 5 podcast, sharing the 5 biggest things you need to know ahead of each matchup. And then we have our post-game show, Falcons Final Whistle, that goes Monday morning after every game. Although I guess for this one, you'll get it Tuesday morning. So yeah, that's where you guys can find me. You can follow me at Will McFadden on Twitter. And I'm just now seeing this little piece of hair right here. It's insane. That's crazy. Sorry you guys had to put up with that all day. So that's what I'm going to leave you guys with, is my little ponytail. That's coming out right here. Great.
I tell you what, if you ever want to surprise some training camp in a little bit of a disguise for some college team or something, that's the hair you need right there for the Shad Powers look.
I think I made it way too easy for people to find me at training camp this year. I need to go a little incognito next time. I'll get the nose. Yeah.
Well, folks, that's Will McFadden. You heard him. You can catch him at AtlantaFalcons.com. All his work is wonderful. He's a great writer. He's a great editor, and he does a wonderful job with the Falcons podcast that he's involved in. Again, Will McFadden, at Will McFadden on Twitter. You can catch Will at AtlantaFalcons.com. Will, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. Have a great week.
Bye, y'all.
Again, one more time, Will McFadden from theatlantafalcons.com. You can catch him at Will McFadden. That's McFadden, Will McFadden. Guys, we'll go from the Atlanta Falcons to our pick six. Do a short and sweet show today. And let's go ahead and get into it. Larry, you had a good week, Wayne, you had a good week last week, 4-2. You moved into the leaderboard at 24-17. Larry, 2-4, one game under 500 at 20-21. Todd went 500, keeping his record 3 games under 500 at 19-22. And I am 1 game over at 21-20, thanks to a terrible week and a late touchdown by the Alabama Crimson Tide that burned us all, except for Todd. But yeah, let's get into it, guys. The first game of the weekend, Ohio State 5-0 travels to Champaign, Illinois to take on the number 17 Fighting Illini. They're 5-1. Ohio State 14.5-point road favorites in this one. The total is 49 and a hook. This one is Saturday, big noon kickoff on Fox. Larry, what say you?
You know what? Ohio State has done everything known to man to be the number one team and share that number one ranking. But that spread to me is just a little bit too high than I want to take it in.
Yeah.
Those two teams, last couple of years, Illinois has been relevant.
Yeah.
They played pretty well against each other. It hadn't really been too big of a blowout. So, even though my heart wants to say Ohio State has still been Ohio State and they've been able to just do big time things, I think my heart still says Illinois. So I'm going Illinois to cover that spread.
Yeah.
I like it. I like the pick, Illinois. They bounced back well, Larry, as you know, after a blowout loss to Indiana. They got 2 wins since then, so maybe they put that loss in the rear view. Wayne, what say you?
Well, I want to tell you, this Illinois team has only had one stumble, and it's for the other team around that area that I prefer, which is Indiana. I think Ohio State will probably win this game, but it won't be by more than a touchdown, and it's because Illinois is at home. I'm taking Illinois in the points, even though I think Ohio State may come out the victor.
I like it. You guys both seem a similar tone on that one. Todd has taken Ohio State to cover, and I'll tell you why I'm doing the same. Ohio State is the best defense in the country, allowing only 5 points per game. The Buckeyes haven't allowed a red zone TD yet. That is really impressive. Not a single red zone touchdown all season, 5 games. That's really hard to do. Usually you get a garbage time touchdown at the goal line, something. They haven't allowed none of it. The Illini have a shot, though. They do have Altmaier at quarterback. He's completing 74% of his passes, taking care of the football, 12 touchdowns, no interceptions. But really, I think the difference in this game is Caleb Downs. He's the best player in college football, in my opinion. He's shuts down one side of the field as a safety. I think he'll force Altmaier to throw at least one game-changing interception. I like the Buckeyes to cover in this one. Right, I hate that hook. I think it might be about 15, 16 points. I really hope that hook doesn't bother me at 14. I wish we could buy it down, tease it down a half point. But I'm taking Ohio State. I think they're the best team in the country to cover. We're split on that one 2-2. Last week we did a lot of 3 one way, 1 the other. So starting out even on this pick 6. Number 2, the Alabama Crimson Tide roll in at number 8 in the country to Como, Columbia, Missouri, to take on the 14th ranked Missouri Tigers, who are unbeaten at 5-0. Alabama is a 2.5-point road favorite. Total in this one's 51 and a hook. It's 12 o'clock p.m. on ABC, so you have 2 ranked games going simultaneously with each other for your viewing pleasure. Larry, what you got on this one?
Roll Tide. And it's because of Ty Simpson. The dude is legit. And watching what he's been able to do over the last couple of games against Georgia and even against Vanderbilt, with Vandy, seemingly being able to get to where they were going to be able to cover the spread last week. He's a magician at the quarterback spot, man. And when you got a good leader like that, even though Missouri's defense has been as great as they have been so far this season, and they haven't beat Alabama since 1975, it doesn't matter where you go. If you can handle the environments that you've had to go against the last couple of weeks, I think Alabama can easily handle that 2.5-point spread. I think they're probably going to beat them by 10. So give me Alabama on pick number 2.
Todd agrees with you. He says, roll, Tide, roll. Wayne, what you got?
Well, I think Missouri is going to beat Alabama by a lot. I don't, a lot meaning 12 or more. And I really think this is what's going to turn up the heat on the DeBoer seat.
I like it. Look, this game I've gone back and forth on about 5,500 times, and I'm not lying to you. I had Alabama. I put Missouri down. I put Alabama again. I put Missouri down again. Look, I went back to last year's 34-0 shutout. in Tuscaloosa. And Alabama brought their starters back out at the end of the game to preserve the shutout. And Eli Drinkwitz was not happy. I think that covers a year's worth of motivation for the Missouri Tigers, as well as 50-plus years of losing to these guys. I think Missouri has a shot to win this game outright too, Wayne. There's, as Larry mentioned, they're thinking their first win versus Alabama since 1975. Alabama's run defense is 88th in the country, giving up over 155 per game. Missouri's rushing attack is number 1 in the country, or number 2 in the country, number 3 in the country, right around there. Number 1 in the SEC, they're averaging over 292 yards a game. Amon Grady is having a Heisman-like season. And look, that's 2 or 3 years in a row that Missouri's gone down to the Sun Belt Conference and cherry-picked some good running backs. With Jamari Carroll from Georgia State, now you got Amon Grady from Louisiana Monroe. I just think Alabama, look, they're 2-5 on the road under Kalen DeBoer. 4 of those losses coming as double-digit favorites. I think chalk up another one. That point spread to me should be 4.5 or 5.5, maybe even 6. I just think Missouri's due. And I could pinch myself for this one because I picked Alabama 15 times and probably Missouri 10. But I'm going Missouri in this one. I think the motivation from last year makes this a really close game. And, again, they're in Columbia, Missouri. That will help Missouri. Our third game of the weekend, again, Todd's going Roll Tide Roll. Wayne and I are Missouri in the points, so we are split 2-2 on the first 2 games. This should be a good one. All right, third and final ranked matchup of the weekend, the Indiana Hoosiers, 5-0, travel to Eugene, Oregon to take on the number 3 Oregon Ducks. This one is a Big Ten separator game. And let me tell you, Oregon, 7.5-point home favorites. Total in this one's 55 and a hook. Oregon is a top 10 team in yards per game, averaging over 500 yards per game on offense. Indiana, top 5. So they're averaging over 538 yards. Both teams have great scoring defenses as well. I think this comes down to Dan Lanning will have his guys ready to play after a bye week. Indiana's coming off a bye week. This should be one hell of a football game. I think Oregon could win this game by 7 and burn me, but I'm going Dan Lanning. He's going to have his Ducks fired up. Moore is an extremely accurate quarterback. I'm going the Ducks to cover. Todd's going the Ducks to cover. Wayne, what say you?
Well, I mentioned them earlier. I'm taking Indiana. And really, I think Indiana, at this point, the way they've been playing, I think they're going to be one of the contenders in the Big Ten, if not to get into the championship game to possibly win that. So I'm taking Indiana on the points, even though I really don't think they need them, because I don't think that Oregon has. I don't think they're going to match up well against Indiana. That's what I'm going to say.
I like the pick. It's one of the tougher ones. This week, there was all 6 of these spreads were really hard to pick against. Larry, what say you?
Yeah, I'm going with the Ducks, and it's because I've seen Moore literally be as much of a surgeon in the precision at the quarterback spot that I've seen in the Big Ten all season long. I think it's going to be an absolute shootout. I think both offenses are going to have a whale of a day putting up points on the board. I think this is going to be like a 42-35 type of football game. I think it's going to be an absolute shootout. But I'm taking Oregon to win this football game, and I think they're going to do so probably about 7-10. And I think they're going to be able to do this. So I'm going to go. Give me Oregon in 10. I think Oregon will win this by 10 points.
Yeah, that's where I'm at, Larry. I think I hope they don't burn me with the original prediction at 7. I think a 2-score game. I think a late field goal puts it out of reach for Oregon, something like that. Again, Todd went Oregon as well. So we're 3-1 on that one. That's our college games. Let's get to our pro games. Local Georgia boy Mike McDonald and his Seahawks travel to Duval to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. We're surprisingly 4-1. and right atop the AFC standings. Jacksonville's a 1.5-point home favorite. Total in this one's 46 and a hook. Sunday, 1 p.m. kickoff on Fox. Larry, what say you?
For the first time in the tenure of Trevor Lawrence's quarterbackhood in Jacksonville, he has a complete offense and a complete defense. And a lot of that is because of one rookie, Travis Hunter. The guy is phenomenal. But not only that, former Falcon, Foye Oluokun, is just continuing to deliver the goods on the defensive side of the football. Give me Jacksonville to cover, and they will continue to be able to say Duval again at the end of the ball game.
I like it. Wayne, what you got?
No, I'm taking the Jaguars as well. I think this is a team that, like Larry says, get their whole packages together. And the Seahawks, I don't really think they've got it together to beat Jacksonville on an away game. If they were playing at home, maybe a better chance. But I'm still taking the Jags on this one.
Todd is also taking Jacksonville to cover. I'm going the opposite way. I'm going with the Georgia boy, Mike McDonald. Let me tell you why. They're 2-0 on the road this year. Jacksonville's 3-0 at home. So something's got to give. Jacksonville's a top 10 team in offense and defense right now. But here's the difference maker in this game. Mike McDonald is a defensive mastermind. He's going to force Trevor Lawrence to do what he's done very well this year, which is not a category you want to do well in. He's thrown 5 interceptions. He's turned the ball over 6 times total. He lost a fumble in that category. I think Mike McDonald gets the Hawks right on the road in Duval. Give me the Seahawks, and the points are there because a 1-point loss gets me the win there too. So I'm taking the Seahawks and the points. Our 5th game of the day, our second NFL game, is probably arguably the best one in terms of intriguing and storylines. As the Lions are 4-1, they travel to Arrowhead Stadium to take on the 2-3 and the reeling Chiefs. The Chiefs are 2.5-point home favorites. Total in this one's 52 and a hook. 8:20 p.m. on NBC. It's Sunday Night Football. Look, I'll start this one off, guys. Everybody's counting the Chiefs out in this one. They're saying they're done. Dynasty's over. They're getting old. Look, when a championship team has backed itself into a corner, you watch out because they're going to play their best football game of the year on Sunday night. I think they get the win. I think Mahomes will have to pretty much do this by himself. He's the team's leading rusher, obviously the leading passer as well. I think he might even throw himself his own ball. Might just throw it right over the line and run and catch it himself and take this thing in the end zone. I'm obviously kidding. But seriously, I think he's going to put the game and the team on his back, and I think Patrick Mahomes will show you why he's the greatest quarterback in the NFL right now. Give me the Chiefs to cover at home against the Lions at Arrowhead. A reeling Chiefs team back in the corner. Give it to me all day. Larry, what you got?
Ain't no way. After the way I saw the Kansas City defense play against the Jacksonville Jaguars, letting Trevor Lawrence Three Stooges his way all the way into an end zone for a game-winning touchdown with no kind of effort whatsoever, that literally told me that somebody has taken the heart out of what was once one of the best defensive groups that was in the NFL. And you got somebody on the opposite side of the field in Jared Goff, who is yet, and people won't say this, but he is having himself an MVP caliber season so
Indeed.
far. Not only him, but the likes of the I can't even remember what the little nickname is for him, but for David Montgomery and Jamar Gibbs, Sonic and Knuckles, that's what they call them. The Sonic and Knuckles duo, the guys are just phenomenal. And Amon-Ra St. Brown just continues to put up numbers week in and week out. This is not even going to be close. If I literally think that the Chiefs will get beat at home probably by 2 scores, if not 3. This Dan Campbell football team is on a mission, and I believe Detroit is going to put they're going to put the Billy Club to the Chiefs this day. I just believe it.
Interesting. I love the pick. Where Larry takes the Lions and the points. Wayne, what you got?
I'm taking the Lions and the points too, not because of the points, but because I think they're going to win this game. These two teams are kind of on a different trajectory. Lions are coming up. Chiefs are going down, but I don't think it's the end of their dynasty as much as it is just a bump in the road, and we'll see how they handle it.
Well, Todd is going with his Lions. He's going against his don't press send, don't bet against Patrick Mahomes. And I'll take the Chiefs. I already said it. I like the Chiefs at home. They're backed into a corner. Again, 3-1 on the last 2 picks. We go into Monday Night Football, and the Bills travel to the Atlanta Falcons at 2-2. 4-1 Bills, 2-2 Falcons. Atlanta's a home underdog at -4.5 in favor of Buffalo. The total in this one's 50 and a hook. Again, Monday Night Football, there's a doubleheader, so it's the 7:15 game on ESPN. Larry, take it away.
No, absolutely. I watched Drake May literally dink and dime the New England Patriots offense to a victory last week on Sunday Night Football, something that Michael Penix has really been able to do successfully so far in his early tenureship as a quarterback. The problem I see is for Atlanta is, are you going to wear Bijan Robinson out with him not only being your primary running back, but your number 2 receiver, essentially? If they lock down Drake London, what do you have available? Luckily, the Atlanta Falcons rushing game is one of the best in the business and hopefully can control the clock enough to be able to take that point spread and eat it and spit it in the dust. Atlanta hasn't beaten Buffalo in forever and a day. It's been, I think it's like since 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
I think Atlanta can cover that 4.5 point spread. So give me Atlanta to be able to take the points and handle business on Monday night. They may not win, but they're going to get beat by 4.5.
Wayne, why are you taking the Falcons?
I'm taking the Falcons because I would love nothing more than for the people who run the dome down there to turn the heat up so we can have some baked buffalo and send them home that way. The only thing that really bugs me is, like Larry was saying, their offense is it. They're not in making me confident at all. Their defense has definitely turned the corner, so we'll see how it turns out. And of course, I am picking the Falcons in the points.
Yeah, I like the Falcons in the points too, boys. Once it jumped to 4.5, I said I'm all over that. You know, this game could be won by 4 points. That Buffalo Bills could score a late touchdown and win this one by 4. But I don't see them winning this game by 5 points. I think the Falcons' defense is too good. I think the fact that they get A.J. Terrell back is huge. And I think the fact that they get off the field on 3rd downs, as long as it's not 4th and 1 and tush-push scenario, I like the Falcons getting off the field 34% of the time, 65, 66% of the time on 3rd down. I like that stat. I like the fact that Atlanta's coming off a bye week. I like the fact that they've only given up 5 touchdowns through the air. Well, some of the in the short season that we've had so far, it's one of the best pass defenses in the NFL, and they get one of their best pass defenders back. Give me the Falcons and the points all day, folks. I love it. So we'll see. That's a 3-1 split the last 2 NFL games, folks, and that will do it for our infamous Pick 6. Let's get to our final thought. Wayne, kick us off, buddy.
Now, final thought coming in here is another NFL final thought. There is no Formula One race this Sunday morning, so that means you can wake up early and catch the Denver Broncos and the New York, New York Jets playing over in England.
Yeah,
that's a morning game, and
game.
Get your NFL started early Sunday.
Breakfast. Get your pigskin and football, bacon and pigskin together. There we go.
Yeah.
Larry, what you got? Final thought for us.
Yes, the most legendary quarterback of our time in our generation here, and Patrick the Man Mahomes, has 1 touchdown away from being the fastest to reach 300 touchdown passes in his career, surpassing one Aaron Rodgers. Will it be Travis Kelce to catch that 300th touchdown pass and forever cement the relationship between the great tight end and the history-changing quarterback that we have become to know as Patrick Mahomes? Only time will tell. The Detroit Lions stand in the way.
Man, my final thought revolves around the way you can coach a guy now. Can we not coach guys hard anymore, fellas? Head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, Jonathan Gannon, coached his running back Imari DiMaccaro, hard after he fumbled going into the end zone Sunday. Oh, it would have been a 70-plus yard touchdown run. It would have put the Cardinals up 27-6, pending the extra point late in the fourth quarter or late in the game. He made slight contact with the player in a blurred video. It looked like he kind of gave him a chest throb. Nothing big, in my opinion. And I think he made the player realize that you can't do that. It's been a pandemic around the NFL and college football. Todd and I had a game earlier in the year in the SIAC where it happened, but the player got the benefit of the doubt with the touchdown. You see it time and time again. Just hold on to the football until you get in the end zone. That would have won the Cardinals the game, but it gave Cam Ward and the Titans their first win and some momentum in a season that otherwise looked lost. Look, players get hit harder than that every day in a game. The coach demanded better of his player, and the coach gets in trouble. I just don't see what kind of world we're living in. Yes, was it a little bit over the line? Sure. But I just don't think a player who made that type of mistake, I would coach him hard too, especially when you're in a game like that and every win matters in the NFL for your job as well as the future of that running back. I just don't get it. I don't get why you can't coach a little bit harder than you can in other sports because this sport is physical. That's my final thought. And, guys, that wraps it up for Wayne in Memphis, for Larry in Adairsville, Todd out in Woodstock. I'm JJ here in Lilburn, Georgia. Thanks for watching ATL Prime Sports or listening, however you're doing it. Again, if you like the content, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and help us on this journey. Guys, we'll see you next week. Enjoy the weekend of football, lots of big ones. And as always, get you one.